A lot of people forget that back in August of 2023, Ripple did join the BIS's task force for cross-border payments, aka the CPMI group. And this is also confirmation that Ripple is working with some of the biggest players in the world around finance to make sure that cross-border payments are extremely efficient. And if that doesn't sound familiar, then it should, because if you go back all the way to like 2017, for an example, Ripple was on a mission to make sure that cross-border payments were extremely efficient, because we know in the world of finance today that payments are plagued with inefficiencies. There's failure rates that are surging. There's no transparency. The fees are extremely high. The finality is extremely long as well. So when we really think about this, Ripple was set on a mission to change the way that money is moving around the world, aka the Internet of Value. Now, we're going to talk about that here in a moment, but when we really think about this task force, we have to bring it up because of what the BIS has been recently putting out, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. But let's go over here to April 15th of 2024. The Finternet, the financial system for the future. This was confirmation that even the biggest, players out there, the central bank of central banks, aka the BIS, is now aware of what's happening. This was confirmation that the Internet of Value, which got rebranded into the Finternet, is happening. We have the summary here. Focus. Advances in digital technology has transformed people's lives in recent decades, but large swaths of the financial system are stuck in the past. Many transactions still take days to complete and rely on time-consuming clearing, messaging, and settlement systems and physical paper trails. Improving the functioning of the financial system is thus an important public policy objective, but building a financial system fit for the future requires a vision for what we want to achieve. Not only did this really kind of confirm that blockchain, DLT, and this new technology will be tapped in, but it also confirms that they are building a new financial system, essentially. And this is where we really kind of look at unified ledgers, we look at tokenization, we look at, pretty much everything around crypto. And this is coming from, a non-crypto based organization. In fact, it's coming from one of the largest organizations around the banking sector. Even if you go to the overview about the BIS, we actually have their mission statement here and also a few things behind the BIS. And the main thing is that if we go all the way back to the established date of the BIS back in 1930, it's owned by the central banks, 63 of them specifically, representing countries from around the world that together account for 95% of the world's GDP. So the fact that they're telling us that this new financial system is coming with this new technology to make sure that we change the way that money is moved, this is a very significant thing to focus on. And of course, when we think about the Finternet, aka the Internet of Value, we go all the way back to 2017, because that's when we first heard the term Internet of Value. And it was actually from Ripple. And this broke down exactly what's happening with blockchain. And it's crazy because we are met with the first major thing here, which is venture capitalist William Moguire calls blockchain the second significant overlay on the internet, just as the web was the first layer back in 1990. When most people think of blockchain, Bitcoin instantly comes to mind, but the potential that excites Moguire and many others goes far beyond financial transactions made using such digital currencies. It touches on what we at Ripple have for many years called the Internet of Value. And this is where we see value exchange around the world moving at seconds, settled in seconds, at fractions of a penny. I mean, this is truly how we get into the 21st century for finance. Now, the big thing that we're really kind of looking at is a few things happening behind the scenes, right? Let's go back to this post from May 13th from Wrath of Kahneman, because this is from a January consultation with the BIS and the Institute of International Finance. Responded how to bolster cross-border payments. The mention XRP on Ripple's network as an alternative rail also mentions stablecoins, though ROUSD was likely too new for considerations. And here we actually have from the document on the bottom, it says Ripple's network provides an alternative infrastructure for cross-border payments using XRP, an unbacked floating digital asset. Stablecoins and other digital assets continue to provide alternatives for users who wish to take advantage of speed and cost advantages in cross-border payments in various cases. They did talk about, JP Morgan's, private blockchain, which was Onyx, now Connexus. You also have Circle's USDC, PayPal's USD as well, and then Coinbase's Base. But, the fact that the BIS is putting a spotlight on Ripple and XRP after Ripple joined the CPMI group back in 2023, which the main goal here is to change the way cross-border payments are, transacted, how they're made, how, they're settled, everything around them, and make sure that they're extremely efficient and up to par with the G20 standards. And then we have Ripple and XRP being spotlighted in a January consultation with the BIS and the Institute of International Finance. And talking more so about RLUSD, yeah, Ripple recently on April 2nd actually integrated RLUSD into the Ripple payments platform, which was driving enterprise demand and utility. This is also another big deal because, again, this is changing the way payments are made with, of course, stablecoins at the forefront. And remember, with stablecoins, if there's so many different stablecoins that are different, fiat-based stablecoins as well, you still need a neutral bridge currency where XRP really kind of comes into play. Now, on top of all of this, the reason why I wanted to bring back up the Ripple CPMI group news is because we got an update from the BIS where they said that Bitcoin is separate from the unified ledger. I'm going to play this video clip here in a second, but big shout to Subjective Views for this. Let's go back to that Finternet post real quick, because this is where they're talking about the Finternet, this new financial system, and this is where unified ledgers become a key, puzzle piece for this. And the fact that Bitcoin will not be tied into the unified ledgers or to even be a part of this should tell you everything that you need to know about Bitcoin compared to even XRP and these other DLTs in this space. But check this out.
The question is in the chat asking how would this new monetary and financial system have been possible without Bitcoin? Here are kind of reading that to believe that that's probably the technology. But if I think we try and interpret it around the technology from Bitcoin, I think probably would be the way to approach it. And if Terje, there's anything else you want to add in the chat, let us know.
Yeah, I think the short answer, I think, is that the unified ledger idea is pretty much separate from Bitcoin in the sense that Bitcoin is a public blockchain. It relies on this decentralized notion of trust. So rather than having trusted intermediaries, the idea is that you can somehow have a system where trust itself is decentralized and the whole system works based on the consensus as to what the underlying state of the world is, subject to the updating of the ledger through some decentralized mechanism. Whereas the vision that we have in mind is very much based on central bank money. So it's based on the trust in central bank money, the settlement finality, and the singleness, as Andrea also mentioned. I guess the common element is the functionality that results from atomic settlement and the programmability. But the programmability, the technology underlying programmability doesn't need to farm out the notion of trust to a decentralized, consensus mechanism. So I would answer your question like that.
Now, on top of this, right, we did get a few additional video clips from this question, right? This one over here, these are the two that really kind of go hand in hand with this, but then this one is the additional video clip, which we'll play here in a moment. But the fact that, Bitcoin's kind of separate from all of this, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, if we really think about this, all right, Bitcoin is not a network that is going to be utilized for financial transactions. I'm not even just talking about base layer transactions. We're talking about any transactions, because it's extremely inefficient. You might compare it to, what we have today and say, oh yeah, Bitcoin transactions are great compared to what we have in the real world. But compared to these other DLTs and these other ledgers, it's night and day. This is also why I've said the same thing about Ethereum as well. Ethereum will not be, a home for financial transactions or use cases at scale. It's just not going to be the case. But on top of this, here we have over here from the Bank for International Settlements, of course, with Ayan Song Shin as well. He's explaining how tokenized platforms with central bank reserves, commercial bank money, and government bonds can underpin the next generation monetary and financial system. And here we have the next generation monetary and financial system. Again, this is confirmation that we are starting to see the system change. And this is what is tokenization and how can it be a transformative innovation for the monetary system and financial system.
Tokenization refers to the digital representation of claims on a programmable platform. Think of it as a digital representation that also incorporates the rules and logic governing transfers. It enables the integration of messaging, reconciliation, and asset transfers into a single seamless operation. And its potential lies in its ability to knit together operations encompassing money and other assets that reside on the same platform, a unified ledger so-called. These functionalities can come without sacrificing the safeguards on the integrity and governance of the monetary system. A well-functioning monetary and financial system is not simply a matter of the technology, it's also important to have the economics right too. A monetary system provides three key features: the singleness of money, elasticity, which allows users to discharge obligations in a timely way without waiting for incoming payments, and safeguarding the integrity of the system against financial crime. And tokenization can be used while incorporating all these features. Well, actually, for stablecoins, it's precisely these three properties that it does less well on singleness, on elasticity, and on integrity. Realizing the full potential of tokenization will require central banks, other public authorities, and the private sector to work together closely. Central banks need to show bold leadership to overcome key impediments in such a system, notably the lack of common standards and an easily available settlement asset, as well as legal uncertainty. And central banks can act as catalysts for innovation, fostering collaboration between public and private sectors, and ensuring that new technologies are harnessed to serve the public good.
And yeah, private and public sector innovation is happening right now. We already know that Ripple is working with the private sector. I mean, Ripple themselves is a private-based company. They just decide to be very transparent, but they're already working with, major central banks, major banks themselves, enterprises as well. But this is very clear that, we are witnessing one of the biggest revolutions happening around finance. Now, on top of this, we have this video clip here, which is the unified ledger can accommodate tokenized government bonds. We do know that Arthur Brito did say that I believe Ripple will eventually support bonds and also bond markets. Now, what's crazy about this is Arthur Brito recently just came back out of nowhere. If we actually go over to his account, we have here just one post from Arthur Brito's account. By the way, this is somebody who's completely, anonymous. You don't even know who this is. We don't even know what he looks like. We don't know who he is, but we just know that he was there back when, Ripple was created. We also know that this is an individual that was tied back to a lot of things around Ripple and even around crypto itself. And he just made this post, which is just a face without a mouth. And we question, what does this mean? David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, even said, I can confirm that this was not a hack or a compromise. And yeah, it's very interesting that this gets posted out of completely nowhere. I mean, this is just insane to me. What could it mean? We don't know. Could we speculate all day about this? 100%. But I do think that this is a signal that something very big is coming. But check this out.
Thank you to everyone for joining today. In this special chapter of the annual economic report, we build on a proposal that we first laid out 2 years ago, the idea of tokenization and the unified ledger. Tokenization is the digital representation of claims on a programmable platform. It enables the integration of messaging, reconciliation, and asset transfer into a single seamless operation. A good example discussed in the chapter is the BIS's Project Agora on next-generation correspondent banking. Tokenization of deposits and central bank money means that all balance sheet updates in a payment using correspondent banks can be executed in one go as an atomic transaction. Beyond money, the unified ledger can also accommodate tokenized government bonds. The new possibilities this opens up can unlock efficiency gains and support new functionalities from collateral management to monetary policy operations. With careful design, it will be possible to improve the efficiency of our current system while preserving the integrity of the existing system, which is founded on three key principles of sound money, namely singleness, which is acceptance of payment at par, elasticity, the timely discharge of obligations preventing gridlock, and integrity, safeguarding against financial crime. The chapter also looks at stablecoins. It remains to be seen what part stablecoins will eventually play in the monetary system, besides being a gateway to the crypto ecosystem. They may have a subsidiary role to play, but they're unlikely to be the mainstay of the monetary system, as they fall short on the three criteria of singleness, elasticity, and integrity. To achieve the next generation monetary and financial system, bold actions by central banks and other public authorities in partnership with the financial sector will be required to push the financial system along this route. Thank you, and we look forward to your questions.
So again, as we really kind of listen into a lot of these discussions, this is coming from, the big players. This is coming from the central bank of central banks. Now, one thing that I will disagree with is the stablecoin discussion, right? Because we already know from the governments that stablecoins look like they are going to be the mainstay, that they are going to be a crucial piece of this financial system to back these fiat currencies, especially in the US. We've heard it many times over. But, overall, yeah, when we think about tokenized government bonds, tokenization itself, tokenization is going to be the driver of almost all of this. Stablecoins also unlock crucial pieces of the puzzle as well. But the fact that this is the central bank of central banks telling us these types of things after giving us the Finternet, which they told us about back in 2024, also after having Ripple join the BIS's task force for cross-border payments back in 2023, shortly after we got the announcement that XRP is not a security, I just have zero doubt in my mind that Ripple and XRP are a big part of this. Obviously, we can't 100% confirm it, just saying, oh yeah, they're a part of this. We do have the CPMI group, which is definitely a big, this is like a big piece of it on exactly why I do think that Ripple and XRP are tied to it. But the fact that, we are witnessing a shift like this, especially everything that has happened so far in 2025, and then after we read about the Finternet back in 2024, it feels as if this is accelerating and the new financial system is coming very close to being here. And I think that we need to be prepared for this. I think that we need to be ready for this, and we really need to open our eyes to the key pieces that are kind of getting given to us, if you will, through a lot of these PDF files, through a lot of these announcements, through a lot of these videos. And then we also have to look back to the players that have some sort of connection or some sort of networking between these major players like the BIS, and make our own assumption. In my opinion, Ripple and XRP are 100% part of this new system. Maybe they are the new system. But, again, my guess is as good as yours with the information that we are given here. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because there's more free content. You guys more than follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, Nick, thanks for watching. Peace out.